Hello everyone, welcome to Channel McFay. Manifestations come fast and easy, especially when love is aligned with the mind. My name is Nanya Ojibe, and this channel is all about spiritual alignments and raising our consciousness so that we can achieve all of our goals and live better feeling lives with law of attraction principles and self-discipline. So today in this video, I'm doing something different again. I have a movie review for you guys. I recently went to go see the movie The Book of Clarence, and it was filled with so many gems, and I just had to share what I learned. Hopefully it can inspire and motivate you to go support and see this movie as well. All right, so stay tuned. Hello everyone, welcome back to this video, and thank you so much for staying tuned. Remember, if you are feeling the vibe at any point in this video, please show some love and like and subscribe because it's free and I'll truly appreciate it. So jumping right into this movie, first I want to give a shout out to Lakeith Stanfield. I think Lakeith Stanfield is such a phenomenal actor. I said this before in a tweet and I'm gonna stand by it. I think Lakeith Stanfield is the Denzel Washington of our generation. Now let me explain. I feel like he is because I'm recently started taking these acting class, and he explains what makes a great actor. And all that it is that makes a great actor is them connecting with like their instrument, connecting basically like with their soul, their spirit, and feeling those real emotions from within and then being able to express it in a character. And I feel like when you do that, it's like it's always you. Like you always have an aura, an essence of you, but you're just acting really well. Like you're really believing those emotions. Like it's really come across on camera really well. And I feel like Denzel does that because whenever we see a Denzel movie, I feel like it's still Denzel, you know, but he's killing it. He's a great actor. But in every movie, it's like that's still a Denzel movie. And I see that same aura. I get that same vibe from Lakeith. When we see Lakeith, it's kind of always Lakeith, but he's still an amazing actor. So because I feel that way, I think that's also what drew me to. And to find out it's from the same writer, director, and producer that did The Harder They Fall, James Samuel, I definitely had to support. That movie was another movie I loved because it filled my heart with compassion. It allowed me to be more open to see everyone's sides before you actually judge, because the twist at the end with the villain, you actually understood why he was out here killing these people and doing what he was doing. And it was emotional at the end. For me at least. So I instantly fell in love with James Samuel because I was like, oh, I see what you did there. So now that I see that he has another movie out starring Lakeith Stanfield, I was excited and I said I had to go see it. Like I was drawn to see it. Now, in the beginning, I did have thoughts like, why did I see this in theaters? Like, I could have straight waited to see it on TV. Like, why was I being called to see this in theaters? And then later on, I realized why. So, James Samuel did a phenomenal job writing this. Even though it's set in Jerusalem, I really do feel like it was just a normal Black community. It could have been set in the West Side in LA, like in the DMV area in New York. It was just a neighborhood. It was real relatable. It was real modernized, and it's a straight comedy, even though it's a biblical movie. And I had to keep reminding myself it's not a serious movie, it's a funny movie, but it had some deep symbolism, and the message in the movie was clear. So backtracking a little bit, the character Clarence is seen as someone who is reckless. He's not really well respected. He's manipulative. He's a con artist, and he seems like he's always getting himself into something. So it starts off with Clarence and his right-hand man, Elijah, who is played by RJ Cyler. They find themselves in a race and they end up losing the carriage and the horse that they were on. And those horses belonged to a gangster that lived back in Jerusalem. Well, not a gangster. He was a king. He was a leader. But the modern film made it feel like he was a gangster. Like he was that guy that you don't want to mess with. So it looks like that was the latest mishap Clarence and his friend got themselves into. So the whole movie is about how are they going to get out of this one? How are they going to get out this situation? So Clarence and Elijah go back to Jerusalem, go back to the neighborhood, and it's like a grand entrance come in. The 12 disciples come in, and Jesus Christ shows up. You know, Jesus Christ is that guy basically in the neighborhood. He's just amazing. No, he's Jesus Christ. Clarence is a non-believer. He's looking at Jesus like, he's not all of that. How can he get away with all of this? He's just doing tricks and fooling the people of Jerusalem. Well, it shows that mindset of Clarence. Back to the plot. Clarence is a problem solver. He's a hustler. He has ambition, and he's thinking of plans on how he can save his life. So he first thinks, all right, I'm about to become the 13th disciple, because if I'm running with Jesus, that means I'm protected, and that means I can't get killed. The disciples end up laughing him off, but they first give him a task. They want him to do a miracle. So he has to go to another territory, which looks like another neighborhood, and ask them to free their slaves. So he goes, does that, and again he shows his clever side, because he didn't end up freeing a slave. He ended up freeing one slave, and that slave was forever grateful to him. So now he's rolling with Clarence. So he goes back to the disciples and like, look, I freed a slave. Let me in on the crew now. And they laugh him out again, like, you just saved one slave. He said, save all of them. And Clarence is like, I did that in 10 minutes though. So like, don't try to play me. So that plan didn't work. So he's like, all right, let me go get baptized, because if I'm baptized, that means they'll think I'm saved and then they won't kill me. So he tries to go do that. That was a fail. And then he comes up with another plan, and he's like, all right, I'm about to just tell everybody I'm the Messiah. So he comes up with lies with his crew. Like, one person would tend to be blind, but let me put my hand on your forehead and then you'll see. They basically had schemes in order to raise money so he can pay one of the kings back. Now, there was a lot else that happened in between, you know, some romance, a lot of comedy, a lot of relatable moments as a person of the Black community. And I even liked how they had the Romans who were white, but the Romans in there played as authority figures. They basically were the police. And they kept stopping Clarence and his crew. Later in the movie, it kind of got heated. And when the Romans tried to capture Clarence, they definitely seemed to be the police, because at that time, Clarence was not respected by all of the neighborhood leaders. He ran into a couple of different leaders, like territory king leaders in the movie, and they all disrespected him. But I thought it was also interesting because each of them knew who Clarence was. So I felt like, to be known, like, you still have to have some respect. But when it was time for Clarence to be captured by the Romans, they all came together to fight for him. And I love how they had that sense of community. It looked like all the Black people got together in order to fight against this white man who tried to be the oppressor. Like, they had a lot of good line gems in there. I don't want to ruin that part for you, because I do want you to see it. So when the Romans captured Clarence and presented them to their leader, I thought it was interesting that, you know, Clarence is going around seeing the kings and the leaders of every territory, you know, every neighborhood in the movie. But when he got to the Romans, that leader didn't know Clarence. He was kind of whispering to his right man, like, who is this person? Why am I here? Who is he? And I guess it shows like there was a lack of care, lack of respect, but it also made this white man look like he wasn't on top of his stuff, because everyone else knew him. Like, they're aware of their surroundings. It looked like the white man, the oppressor, they weren't too smart. And I wonder if James threw that in there on purpose. But at that time, Clarence is basically confessing, I'm not no Messiah. I was just out here being a con artist, trying to get out of trouble, doing my thing. So no need to kill me. And the Romans were going to let him go. They tried to hit him with some trickery stuff. Authority does still to this day. They were like, all right, well, we know you're not a Messiah, but if you can bring us Jesus, if you can trade on your fellow man, something like the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, like, if you can trade on your man and bring us Jesus, then we'll let you go free. But Clarence was like, nah, I'm good. So they put him to the test. Okay, if you can walk on water and prove that you're not a Messiah, once you drown, you can go free. So it was kind of like a lose-lose. But at that time, it looks like a miracle happened and God blessed him. And it gave this man the ability to walk on water. And when I tell you, Lakeith Stanfield is just, he did an amazing job, because the look on his face of shock. He was like, I have no idea how I'm doing this. I'm legit walking on water. And it's like he looks scared to take each step. But you can tell as he's stepping, he just has faith. You truly feel that. And it is seen as a miracle, of course, to Clarence, but not really to the crowd, because he was already fooling everybody. So they're like, of course you can walk on water. Like, we been knew you was the Messiah. So he goes back and gets captured again. And what I really love in this scene, he talks to the love interest that comes and visit him. And she's like, so are you still a non-believer? You still believe there's no God? And he's like, I don't believe there's a God. He said, I know there's a God. Ooh, and I thought that was so dope because the difference is there. Believing is like having faith, but knowing is a higher level of enlightenment. Knowing is a crown chakra. And he truly does feel that. He knows there's a God because he was able to experience the miracle. And because he proved himself to be a Messiah, the Romans had to crucify him. So they had him bearing a cross. And when they bared the cross, it looks like the entire town came together to support him. And I love that because in the movie, it looked like no one cared for him, but it showed that he still had love and respect. And the whole time Clarence is like, forgive them for they do not know what they do. They don't know the power of God like I know. And then they crucified him. Again, he keeps acting. Now again, guys, this is a comedy. So it was a lot of funny moments when he was up there. And at the end of the day, it looks like they didn't even capture Jesus. Like Jesus was still there. And Jesus said that he was told by God to stand back, to wait for his call. Because, you know, Jesus could have popped up at any time and saved Clarence, but he was listening to God and God said, wait. So then they killed Clarence and then Jesus popped up. Jesus popped up, removed the stone, and then brought Clarence back to life. And then Jesus told him, you demonstrated the most faith in my Father. You truly believed. And Jesus said, any man that believes in my Father will live even after death. So he blessed them, brought him back to life. And then it showed that Clarence, the problem solver, had another idea. And then that's how it ended. But I thought that movie was so phenomenal. And then also how he made the distinction between believing and knowing. And that goes back to our power as being co-creators. When we can truly walk with God when we know, not just believing, not just saying affirmations, because sometimes even stating affirmations is you're saying it because you're trying to believe it. You want to manifest it. You want to make it real. But when you know, you may not even be saying manifestations because for what? I don't need to say it. I'm living it. I'm acting like it. I'm moving like it. That is so aligned with this channel. That's so aligned with all of the law of attraction principles, all the law of assumption principles. Those are the keys in order to manifest our reality. It's having unwavering belief in our highest power. Such an unwavering, unshakable belief that it becomes a knowing. It becomes a way of life. It becomes an action rather than a thought. All right, guys, that was my take on this movie. I hope you enjoy it. Even though I told you how it ended, please still go see it for yourself. Receive that message in your own way and spread it and have that movie inspire you. I left out still a lot of gems and it was hilarious. It's a funny movie. It is a comedy. James Samuel, brilliant mind. I love his take on this biblical story of Jesus Christ. They even had Judas in there and they showed that whole play out too. They even had a scene of the Last Supper, which is hilarious. Like it was it was a really good movie, guys. If you're not doing anything this weekend, I suggest you go see it. All right, guys, that was my video. Mwah. Love you all and I'll see you next week. Bye.